On. We are on right here. And, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Oh. Greetings, everybody. Welcome to the Artist Lounge again. It's been a while since we've seen you, probably a couple of weeks. Life's been interesting. As you can see from the title, this guest, a lot of you probably know of if you're from the midsection of North Carolina, and even beyond that, he's done a lot outside of the state. I smirk just talking about him because he's a fantastic friend, brother in a sense, and just fellow artist, really talented, really gifted. I don't need to say this much. Again, if you know the name, you know who we're talking about. I will say a couple of credits here off the bat as a little intro. This guy's a 2011 International Songwriting Contest winner with the John Lennon International Songwriting Contest. 9 total releases as far as albums, LPs, EPs. Has opened for names such as Creed, Huey Lewis, Demi Lovato, Blake Shelton, I believe Bo Bice, and like 15 others that we'll probably talk about here in a little bit. And over 20 placements with his music, TV, film on credits such as Real World, MTV, the E! Network, etc., etc. Has been on XM radio and charted in North America, and is a ham and a stud. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Artist Lounge, Mr. Nick Driver.
Hey, what's up, Jason? How you doing, man?
Dude, I'm 10 times better since you walked in the door.
Appreciate you having me, man.
So, let's just start from the beginning, as we usually do on this show, and just do the timeline of events.
Right on.
Beginning stages.
Beginning stages.
How the hell did you get here? God.
It's been a long one, man. Everybody's always like, life's short. And I'm like, no, man, it's way too long. Yeah, I started, I was about 11, 12 years old. I picked up, saved some money up. My family was tobacco farmers. So at the end of the season every year, my dad would make me put away like a couple $1,000 or a couple hundred, whatever. I saved up to get my first car. But at the end of the year, he was like, you're going to have your last check. So I was like, okay. So I ended up, I had to save it for like two or 3 years because you get paid like $6 an hour. But I ended up buying a Tascam, a blue Tascam. It was like the recorder.
Yeah.
Like
a 4-track or.
Yeah.
And that was cassette.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, cassette. Yep. And yeah, so I started making, I would like rap on top of Casio beats that were horrible.
Yes.
So that's what I started doing. It was so bad.
And what was the age range for this again?
I was probably anywhere from like 11 to 12 years old.
Okay.
And yeah, man, it was pretty funny, man. It was garbage. I had a tape that I called myself In Sexy.
Yes.
I figured you would like that jewel right there.
How do you spell that?
N. SEXY. So I did that, and I would take the tape. I was handing them out at school to my friends, and
of course,
and I had burnt the edge of the tape, not the tape, but the case holder. So it was like burnt edge, and it said like In Sexy. And I made up a record label. I don't remember what it was called, but I made up a record label that it was on, and my friends were like, yeah, and I was like selling them to a couple of my friends.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That is, oh, God. So this was middle school then?
Yeah, this is a long time ago.
So high school comes around. You're a multi-instrumentalist.
Right.
Vocalist, obviously, over 20 years of experience.
Right.
So I'm assuming that the playing came afterwards, and if that's the case, walk me through that process of going from Tascam Hustler middle school.
Tascam Hustler. That's a new song. Me and you need to get on that.
Tascam Hustler. No, that's good. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I started playing guitar about ninth grade.
Okay.
Eighth, ninth grade, I started playing guitar.
Acoustic.
Yeah, acoustic. Well, I started playing electric. I
Okay.
was really big into Rage Against the Machine.
Well, I was gonna say because when we talked a few months back, just
Right.
on the phone, hanging out, and you said you were. I don't know if you're like into hardcore, but you were more in earlier on. You were into harder sounds.
Yeah, like really, it was more hardcore music. It was hardcore music at the time. Now you got like death metal and all this kind of. Well, I mean, it was there then, but it wasn't as
prominent, you know.
Right. So, but yeah, it was my first band I was in was called Seven. Lasted about 4 years. We were kind of like a heavier version of Rage Against the Machine.
Wow. Okay.
The next band I was in after that, Seven, was when I was in high school. I'll tell you a funny story, man. So this is random, but
Well, this isn't Driver.
that's true. It's random.
Would I expect anything less?
That's true. That's true, man. So the first girl that ever came to see me play, I was like, I was in high school, man. And we played at this place on Hillsborough Street. It's not there anymore. It was called a Record Exchange. And it was a little record store. And the back had this real small stage. Well, all four of us got up there. And this chick, like, we're playing. And I know it's bad. I know it was bad because, I mean, we didn't know what we were doing with kids. She comes up to me afterwards and she was like, yeah, I don't think you should do that anymore. That was embarrassing for me. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Dude, talk about taking a shot.
Yeah.
I'd rather somebody be like, yo, you're fat and
Now
stupid.
you guys.
Hey, Nick, you look stupid. I'd be like, okay.
But you guys were like kind of dating a little bit.
No, me and her were together, man.
Oh, you were together.
Yeah, this chick pulls me to the side.
How long were you
afterwards.
together for? Like 6
not long
months or
after
something?
that.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
But then it's funny because, I mean, everybody's got their stories, but yeah, man, woo, that was tough. But then from there, I mean, we did pretty good. We did good. From there, I went and I was in a band. It was kind of like Mr. Bungle. And it was called like System Burned. And then the band after that was called How Far We've Fallen. It was a post-hardcore band like a Static Lullaby.
Okay.
Or Under Oath at the time.
Right.
And then I was in a band called Skywire. A couple of those guys are in a band now called Gold Coast. Like, it's like pretty much all of them, because they moved to a different state. So they're doing their stuff up there.
You were playing guitar in these groups?
I was singing in these
you
groups.
were
I mean,
up
I
front?
was writing a lot of stuff.
Okay.
But live
You were
shows,
fronting?
Live shows, I was fronting.
Okay.
Live shows, I was singing, doing like the dry lung, like rah stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Jumping off speakers.
Yeah, I mean,
Gotta wild out, man. You know me, I like to wild out.
and now you're crooning.
That's it.
Who
Now I'm
would have
crooning,
known?
man.
And you own a home.
That's
Wow.
it, man. I'm moving. I'm doing all right. Man.
I mean, yeah.
But yeah, like, so we, from there, like, but two of those guys actually, Paul and Pat, they work for NASA. They actually work for NASA. I thought that was pretty cool.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But yeah, after that, I pretty much thought it was pretty much over because the scene in Raleigh was changing to where like venues were going out of business.
What time frame was this now? Like early 2000s?
2009, 2008.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yep.
And I ended up like, I was like, well, man, I'll just give it a, I already knew how to play guitar. So I was like, I'll just put me out an acoustic record and that'll probably be, well, I put it out and it took off. I got a deal with a label out of Florida. And I ended up on the radio. And then I've been doing that ever since.
So let me take a step back for a second. So was this after state? Or during the same time
Some
frame?
of it was during the same time
when you were in school.
Skywire was after.
Was that a 4-year period for you, or was it like me where you were still working the career and school took longer than 4 years?
Right. It took me longer than 4 years.
Okay.
Because I was like, a lot of the times when I was there, I was touring too. Like,
Right.
during that time frame. And like my teachers up into the upper level classes, they didn't care. But the entry level stuff, you had to be there. Like if you're a state, like if you're under like a 200 level class, or what is it, like 300 level class, a lot of them would take attendance. But, but at the end of it, they're kind of like, look, man, just pass. Just
Right.
pass
They don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got you.
Whatever. So, but they were cool, man. I had a favorite professor. His name was Professor Truce. And that dude was awesome, man. He was a sociology teacher or professor. And he was awesome. He passed, but he was cool, man. He was an awesome guy, man.
That's awesome. Yeah.
He pulled me to the side, and I was like, look, man, I'm trying to tour some. And, but he goes, Nick, yeah, do what you want. Just pass the final. I said, okay.
Now, you have a double major?
I do.
Physics
and
sociology.
Yeah.
Jeez. And I didn't know this until today. I mean,
that's awesome.
Man of many gifts.
Yeah,
man of many talents.
You're a trip, man.
Let's get into influences real quick.
Okay.
Which is probably all over the place, like myself.
Right.
But because you've got an eclectic mix of sound.
Right. One of my favorite singers is Jonah Matrenga. He was in a band called Four. And I actually got him, which is pretty cool. I actually got him on one of my tracks. It's called Universal Love. And he actually sung on the track with me.
That's awesome.
I thought was pretty sweet. Some of the other ones, I guess influences Zach De La Rocca from Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
Rage Against the Machine as a group. I love Tom
absolutely.
Morello's guitar playing.
Incredible musicianship in that band, and the riffs are just like Zeppelin quality. I mean, they're just unbelievable.
Then Incubus was a big one for me. Brandon Boyd. I like some of the Afrobeat type music. I like really it's all over the place. Ben Harper is probably one of my favorite songwriters. I just thought he had he's kind of got this like Bob Marley-ish thing, but it's like, I don't know, to me, I don't care. I'm gonna say what I want, man. But I think his voice is better. Bob Marley's classic, but Bob Marley had like 4 lines that he repeated every song.
Right.
Which was, but if it wasn't for him, you wouldn't have these other guys.
The thing to me that's amazing is when you listen to the Bob Marley records, they sound incredible.
They do.
And we'll get into engineering and production later because I have those bullet points because you own your own studio like myself.
Right.
You track, you produce, and we'll definitely get into that. But I'm sure you can appreciate those records sound amazing, and they're
amazing.
40 years old at this point.
Amazing.
They were way ahead of their time.
Yeah.
So it's fair to say that you have a reggae influence too, for sure.
Definitely.
And I hear it. Whether it's the Sublime, because I've seen you live with the originals and the covers.
Yeah.
With the band and solo, and that influence is there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the Caribbean, however you want to say it. But I feel like most music today in pop music is got a Caribbean flavor to it. Like if you listen to hip hop right now, if you listen to the rock stuff, or not really rock, because rock's kind of moved in.
Rock's ambiguous now.
It is.
It really is.
Depending on what kind of rock you're playing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yes, it is. I agree with that 100%. So, but I would think most of it is like if you turn the radio on, like most of the stuff that's popular has that kind of, like
it's got that
upbeat.
I was gonna say exactly that upbeat, syncopated.
Yep. Perfect word.
Grid.
Yep.
So to speak. We're gonna totally go off kilter here for a second. Because if I don't bring it up now, it just won't come up in context. But comedy,
right?
So we've talked about this. We've had a couple of conversations in the sense of the psychology behind it or whatever.
Okay.
How did you get into that development of your personality or that faction of your personality that is funny? Was it by necessity? And if it was, or if it wasn't, just
sure.
How did this cultivate? Because you're hilarious.
I appreciate it, man.
To me, at least.
Hey, that's good, man. That's all that matters, man. We're the only 2 here right now. So
and for the record, this guy actually thinks I'm funny, which
man.
I will say because a lot of people I don't think they get my sense of humor, but you get it.
Awesome, man. I think it's awesome.
So I am grateful for that, and I will kind of pat myself on the back. At least Nick Driver thinks I'm kind of hilarious.
Exactly, man. I think I started doing it because I was playing a lot of gigs, and it just felt like so cut and dry. I was watching a lot of my peers and and they're amazing, you know. But I was just trying to figure out how to get my own lane, you know, and still like. But I would watch. I feel like I learned something from everybody. You know, like I feel like I learned something from everybody. Even to this day, I'm looking at something. I might go see an artist that just started, and they might be doing something that it could be something very small. You know, it could be like the way the mic, you know, stand is, you know, being held, or the mic might be pointing down, like just something small. You know, I always try to pay attention to detail.
Right.
I started doing it because I felt like it connected to people more. It made it more human.
Was there a certain influence that you lionized as far as like, why? Like I gotta really add this to my vibe.
I would say
comedically speaking.
Yeah, I watched. I don't know if there's any specific person, but I remember seeing there was some guy, and he was like a complete comedian, and he was playing acoustic. I don't even remember the guy's name, but it was like on TV or something, like on Comedy Central, and I was like, I should mess around, and in between songs, like when I'm tuning, I could tell like a real corny joke. People be like, oh, you know, this guy, what's he doing? Like, you know, and it lightens up stuff too.
Yeah, yeah.
Because a lot of the rooms I play, like people, I don't think people. It's kind of crazy that people just don't pay attention to some. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's different. It's different doing.
Because you and I have played the same rooms.
Exactly, and so it's almost like people just don't give a shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Which is fine. I mean, there's people there that do care.
I mean, because there's people there that they're just out with their friends that they haven't seen in 5 years, and this is just noise to them.
Exactly, it's background.
You know, and that's fine. That's cool. That's why we have 60 covers that we play.
100%.
But at the same time, you're trying to engage and you know, add value to the atmosphere.
Yeah. And I try to do it just to give it a little bit more of a human aspect.
Yeah.
As opposed to, you know, getting up there and just cranking through. Because it can get, I mean, I play out so much, man. It has to be enjoyable for me, too.
We've seen those sets. We've seen those musicians and singers and artists that just go, you know, we've all been there where there's no engagement.
Right.
And me personally, like when I was younger, I'm definitely guilty of that to a certain extent, because I was trying to, at some of those gigs, just completely candidly say this, like I was just trying to cut my teeth and just make it happen.
Right.
Now, do you feel the same way as far as for a few years there?
Right.
There's a learning curve.
There is.
You know,
yeah.
How to work the mic, how to just engage with the audience.
Right.
Dealing with band members. Yeah. Dealing with venue owners.
Yeah, man.
I know you're holding your tongue.
I mean, I ain't gonna hold it, man. I'll say it. but like, okay, like I'll joke around about this, but I was talking to my friends the other day. I said, man, I've had more band members than I have placements on television. I think there's been 22 band members I've had, like over the last decade. Okay. But I think people would come in and they were like, oh, man, I want to play shows. But then I give them the practice schedule. And they're like, you practice like 3 times a week with the group. And then I practice outside of that. So like right now, when I'm doing as many as I'm doing now, like 5 or 6 shows a week, I won't practice because I'm playing 3 hours per night.
Right.
You know, but when
you're in the zone.
Right. And, you know, you don't really like, you got to have that cool down time too, that time to do something else with your mind, you know.
Have to.
But yeah,
and vocally too, you know, and just
man. And it's just
physically.
But like you were saying, you know, you have that because we were talking about the like venue owners and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, like I've had some pretty good stories, man. I don't know if you want to get off topic.
Let's go off topic for a couple minutes.
I don't want to get
No,
I mean,
cool with you? Let's go off topic for a couple minutes.
Too. I want to hear some of yours.
One of my stories?
I want to hear some of yours.
If I can even, dude, there's so many I've probably subconsciously buried them.
You're trying to like not remember it.
I'll see if I can dig one up. If you've got one on the top of your head, you go for it.
All right, so
you go for it.
So I had a show. This is pretty funny, man. I mean, it's over now. You know what I'm saying,
right?
But I was playing at a place downtown. I was playing at like the beer garden. Okay. Beer garden.
Yeah.
And like I've only been banned at like 2 places.
Oh jeez.
Okay, like straight up. But it had to do with like at the time. This is years and years back. So at the time, I'm sitting there and I'm playing, man, and it's snowing. I'm outside and it's snowing, man. Okay, like there's no
No cover, no anything.
There's no nothing like that. There's
Dude, how are you like playing and it's like your hands are like, yeah.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
mean,
I'm like, like you know what I'm saying? Like,
no, like you literally can't. It just you have about 30 minutes and then that's it.
That's it. If that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's coming down.
I've done those gigs, man.
And I'm like, I'm freaking out because my equipment.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You know.
Rightfully so.
And I ended up talking to one of the managers, and I was like, look, man, it's snowing. There's no heater. A couple of my friends are sitting out here just out of pity for me. Okay, like you know, you mind if I go ahead and, you know, cut on out? He said, yeah. He said, 100%. He was like, you were here early anyways. Go ahead and cut out. I said, okay. Well, I'm packing my stuff up. I get done this. This is like a winter gig. I get done at like, I'm guessing 5:30ish.
PM.
Yeah.
When did you start?
Like 1. It was a long gig, 1 or 2, something like that. It was a long gig.
Jeez.
It was a long gig.
What? So it was going to go to like 6 or something?
It was supposed to go to 6. It was like 2 to 6, 1 to 6. It was something like that. I'm probably missing a little bit of the exact dates on the time.
This is
but
bizarre.
It was long. That point, it was like 4 hours long.
But this was during the afternoon?
Yep, it was an afternoon thing where everybody went out there and it was supposed to be a good day.
Strange.
Very strange.
Strange.
It gets worse.
Continue.
It gets crazier.
Oh, God.
Okay, no, it gets real bad.
Okay,
So I go in there to get my check, right? And I'm out there, like, playing in the freaking snow. A couple of my friends, I'm like, y'all just go home, man. Like, seriously, I appreciate the love, but y'all, you go ahead and do, like, come on, man.
Mush.
Exactly.
Get the dogs and get the hell out of here.
Go home, get you some hot chocolate.
Get that igloo, baby.
Yeah. So I go in there, and I go in there, and I'm like, yo, I need to get my check from, and the guy goes, who are you? Okay, this place is like a 3-level place, and I get it. He probably had nothing to do with the booking of it.
Was this the same guy that you conversed with earlier?
This is a different manager.
Okay, different manager.
The manager I talked to, I couldn't find.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But I'm like, yeah, man, I was playing outside in the snow. I just want to get my check. And he goes, yeah, well, how much was it? And I told him. He said, okay. I sit there, not shitting you. I sit there for 2 hours. At a 2-hour mark.
2 hours.
At a 2-hour mark, I'm like, I was drinking a little bit after the show.
Right.
All right. And I'm getting mad, man.
Yeah.
Okay, like I'm there. It's 2 hours after the gig. Okay. I'm sitting there, the girl I'm dating's with me. She's getting pissy.
Yeah.
Okay. I go back up there and I was like, doom, 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 knocking on the door. He's like, what? I was like, what? I was like, I need my check, bruh. And he goes, didn't I already talk to you? I said, yeah, you talked to me 2 hours ago, man. I was like, can I get my check so I can go home? I was like, I've been standing outside, I'm wet. Like, it's cold. And he goes, yeah, I'll get it to you. I said, okay. So I walk back downstairs. 30 minutes goes by.
Come on.
I was there like 2 hours and 30 minutes after the gig. Okay?
Come on.
I go back up there. And I was like, doom, 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 doom. Okay, like I'm at this point.
Yeah, at this point,
there's
like,
no return.
Let's go.
You go, and he goes, what's up? And I was like, look, man, I need my check, man. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, some bouncers come up.
Oh, jeez.
And they're like, yeah. And I was like, whatever, man. You know, so I walked downstairs. I really didn't get banned. I just didn't go back.
Right.
But I go downstairs, and I'm mouthing, I'm jawing. Of course, because I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's kind of, you know, but if as an artist, it's always your fault. Like
right.
you grabbed this concept.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter that they made me stand out in the snow for 3 or 4 hours playing, and then there's no heater. My equipment's getting wet. They don't know who I am. They hired me. They didn't give me my check. I'm waiting to it's just stacking up.
Yeah, and it gets to the point where seeking first to understand, then be understood goes out the window.
It goes way out the window.
You're dealing with a whole other breed of human at this point.
You are.
You know what I mean?
You are.
The benefit of the doubt is gone.
Right.
That line is gone.
It's over.
And that line has been crossed.
right.
That's it.
It's it.
So
I'm walking out the place, and the girl I'm with is like, she's like with me. She's walking across. She's like, blah, blah. And the bouncer's following me across the street. Okay. And they're like, bro, you gonna do something? I was like, yo, we can throw it down right now. I said, but I'm gonna tell you something. You off your property right now. I was like, you hit me, I'm gonna sue the shit out of you.
Yeah.
Okay, like I walked them across because you can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't just beat somebody up because you're a bouncer. And on top of that, it was you guys' fault.
Right.
Okay, like, so I'm sitting there and they're like jawing at me and I'm jawing back, but a manager comes out and he goes, hey man, he gives me an index card and he was like, just write your name on here. I said, what? He said, yeah. I was like, you know what? And I was like, okay. And I took it from him, I threw it on the ground. I was like, you man. I was like, straight up, I was like, you know, blah, 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 talking to him. They're jawing, everybody's jawing. I was like, man, whatever. And I just left. Okay. I just left.
Yeah.
I got in the car with her and left. And oh my God. I had to get one of my friends, Derek, that helps me out along the way, to go back and help get my check. Because they were like, yeah, man, don't be coming back in here. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, yo, I need my check.
Yeah.
I was like, regardless how this goes,
deal's a deal.
deal's a deal. But yeah, that was pretty wild. That was a pretty wild night, man.
Was there any? And I mean, 90% of the gigs we do that are local. There's no signed agreement unless it's like with a booking agent or whatever.
Right.
They're doing it on your behalf. I mean, me as an LLC owner, we're starting to do that now.
Right.
So we're starting to do contracts because that's
a great idea.
We've had a couple of these in the past, and look, it's like you've got a 24-hour window, and I do it with students as well. We don't have them signed, but it's like in an email. So like when I start teaching, because that's just a little side thing for me, because I love to teach. I just let the students or the parent students know, like, if you need to cancel, give me 24 hours notice.
Right.
Okay, that's all I ask for.
Right.
And if I get a notice before that, we'll talk about it, we'll work it out. But if it's just you blatantly forgetting, and it's on your we all have smartphones.
Right.
We're adults here, people.
Exactly.
Because that slot could go to somebody else, and it's my time that I'm sitting around for. So,
and that's money you depend on.
That's it. And it's just business. It's just business at the end of the day.
100%.
And whether you're an artist, whether you're building a house, whether you're a restaurant owner or a venue owner, that's just it.
Yeah.
You're
right, man. But yeah, it's almost like virtually impossible to make all these people happy.
It's impossible.
And I that was one thing that stressed me out. I used to get stressed out over it because it was like you do one thing and people are like, oh, you remember that? I'm like, no, I don't even know what happened. Like, what are you talking about?
Crazy. So coming out of that,
okay,
we'll take another little step back. So I want to talk about placements and everything, but,
sure,
and opening acts, but let's go back to songwriting process for a second.
Okay.
Just walk me through, first of all, what makes you tick? What are you trying to say? What have you tried to say in the past? What are you trying to say now? These are just some of the questions that percolate,
okay,
and bubble forth at this time, because I know that you've written a lot of material. You've got comedic material. You have somber material. You have introspective. So you're all over the place, like myself. Let's talk about it.
Okay. Songwriting process. For me, sometimes it varies. If I'm writing for a commercial situation, like if I get contacted by a show, for example, and they're like, hey, we need something along the lines of this, and this, then I'll write something along those lines because it's like a paid situation. So I'll do something like that. If I'm writing my material for like an album, it's a different ballgame. I wanted to have a soul to it. Some of the commercial stuff, some of the stuff I write for like the TV shows sometimes won't have a whole lot of I don't know, don't have a lot of soul to it, but it matches what they need. I don't know if that makes sense.
It's commercial.
Yeah, exactly.
Or, excuse me, commercialized.
Right,
yeah.
Right. So, and I mean, I accept that. So, but if I'm writing my records, my actual albums that I enjoy doing, I try to find some kind of inspiration. I try to find like a situation in my life that I've been in or not been in, or I'm going towards. Well, my dad, he used to say some legit stuff to me one time, and he said, look, you're either three places in life when it comes to problems. He said, you're leaving a problem, coming out of a problem, or you're in a problem. And I kind of took that with me, like, everybody's going through something, So I always try to place more like, if I'm writing about something, I might have 3 songs that are about the same situation, but it's looking at it from each perspective.
That's great.
Because if you're real close to it, if you're in the middle of a breakup, for example, we'll use girls as a big, like inspiration, like females, for example.
Oh, 100%.
So if you're going through a breakup, if you're going through a breakup, it could be a breakthrough.
Before the breakup.
Right. You might write it from that perspective. If you're going into it, you might write it from that perspective. And you coming out of it, you're going to have a different view than the other two.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
So, but yeah, that's how I kind of look at it when it comes to the actual lyrical content.
What comes first? I ask this question a lot, but is it more lyric title oriented, or is it more melodic, rhythmic, based off of riffs?
I guess I do both. It just depends on what kind of song I'm writing. If I'm writing an acoustic song, I feel like an acoustic song for me, you have to have like a strong, like what you're saying has to be it has to be creative. It has to be like powerful, and it has to be something that maybe we're all singing the same type of songs, but it has to have that edge to it. It has to have that little something that it's hard for me to explain what it is, but like there might be a lyric, I got a song I wrote called Heart as Hard as My Drink. So it's just me trying to word something a different way than maybe 800,000 people that have already written a song like that.
Yeah.
It's just trying to find a way to
trying
word
to be creative.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Spare Me Some Change.
Right.
Which won the John Lennon songwriting contest in 2011 for you. Let's talk about that real quick while we're on this topic, because that's, again, how did that inspiration come about? Even though it's probably self-explanatory, but I don't know because I wasn't there.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't either.
I wrote that song about I was in Los Angeles with my old drummer, and we were playing out there at some kind of convention or something. I don't remember all the details to it, but me and him were in the hotel room, and I wrote. We were walking through Inglewood to go get beer at this gas station. And we get in there, and we come back, and I looked over, man, and it was like 30, 40 homeless people just laying under a bridge. You know what I'm saying? It was like a chain link fence. It was just that memory got burned into my mind, you know? And then, of course, you have different things that go on in your personal life too that you can write from.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But yeah, I basically wrote most of that song in LA at the Westin.
So for you then, as I was alluding to earlier, is it usually more, and you might have already answered this, but is it more rhythmic, melodic oriented, or lyric? Like, are you playing a riff and then you try to put words into trying to find, because Eddie Vedder, I've heard that from him, and it stuck with me for years. And he and I write very similarly. Like for me personally, I confide in the way he writes, where it's music, and Billy Joel is kind of the same way, and then finding the words and that fit with the emotion. Like, what does this sound mean, as opposed to here's poetry. Right. Let's put some music to it. And it's just, I'm always fascinated by how it starts. Because for me, I mean, it could just start with a 3-second bass riff that I put on my phone while I'm waiting at rehearsal at church or something. Like yesterday, I put a couple of those clips down. It's like, these are cool. See what happens.
Yeah, I think I'll come up, a lot of times I'll come up with a riff. I come up with like a basic riff. And then I try to get the words to, kind of go in with it. But I try to like pay attention to the little details of a song. You can have a 4-chord song and it sound ridiculously good if there's like those little holes. I don't know. I picture music as like a grid.
Yeah.
Like when I'm writing, I always picture like a grid, and it's like I can see like lines. And I try to connect certain things. And normally when I'm able to connect those certain things, then that song will normally do pretty good. But just like anything else, it's
interesting.
It's just a discipline thing too.
Grids and lines.
Man.
See, when I mix, like when I hear music, some people they see color.
Right.
Some people they, I don't. There's a lot of things that happen. For me, I do see it's more of a structural thing for me, and I don't know if I want to say shapes, but it's more of structure, like a structure, not really colors, but structure and texture and the weight.
Right.
So I don't know if that's kind of the same thing, but as not to go off on a tangent, but the songwriting element, I've never heard anybody say that before. Connecting lines.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of like
That's interesting.
And I also think of the dots as kind of like a thought process. Like for example, okay, if I'm starting out a song with, like "Spare Me Some Change," for example.
Yeah.
In the City of Angels, I try to use wording to, I could just been like, yeah, I'm in Los Angeles. It's just a wording. It's a wording.
Poetic.
Yeah. So in the City of Angels.
And visual, perhaps.
Right. I thought I found what I'm looking for. So I try to keep the thought connecting so that there's a story being told. It's not missing out on things. Because it's very easy as an artist. It's very easy to write a song, and if something sounds really good on a line, and it's kind of, and this, you're a really great songwriter.
Oh.
So you have like
I appreciate it, man.
You have like a thought. You're like, well, A and C works, but this B part in here, it sounds good, but it doesn't make sense.
But it's not connecting. It's not connecting the thought.
Right.
The stream of thought.
Exactly. So when I'm looking at that, in my mind, the grid part, I'll see like the line, it'll stop, and there's a hole there, and then the next part. So it's trying to connect those two.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. So, I mean, while we're on this, we'll still get to placements and all that. But while we're on it, the studio and recording process.
Sure.
There's a little bit more in the same vein of a segue. It started with Tascam.
Right.
Now it's I've been to the place. It's a good facility in your house,
Thank you.
How did it happen?
Well, I was, I think I've always been interested in recording. The system I use now is a mixture between like Logic and Pro Tools.
Mm-hmm. You start in Logic?
Sometimes it depends. They got good drum samples. They got some pretty good drum samples. If I'm like messing around with it and I can tweak it, you can get them sounding pretty good sometimes.
Right.
But I used to record a lot of rock bands and stuff. So I had to have a bigger
obviously
spot for like drum tracking and quantizing can get hellacious at times.
Oh, yeah.
If somebody's off the click track.
Oh.
I'm not trying to sound like a nerd right now. I know everybody's like, what is he talking about?
Well, no, I mean, it's...
but you know what I'm talking about.
You can just be like me and just don't work with those people.
Right, but exactly.
I'm just saying.
Exactly.
Because it's
when I'm engineering or recording stuff, I do my records, but I also work with Jamie King out of Winston-Salem. He did a lot of Between the Buried and Me records. I mean, he's amazing.
Cool.
I'll work with him sometimes. But if I do a lot of hip hop. A lot of hip hop comes to me, and R&B singers. So it makes sense for them financially, and for so I'm not insane that we just use track samples.
Right.
Like you know what I'm saying?
Well, it works with the genre internally.
It does.
It just comes with the turf.
It does.
So, what's perhaps the biggest challenge for you, engineering-wise?
I think the biggest challenge for me
as a self-taught, right? Because I
didn't go to school.
Yeah.
I mean, I've looked up tutorials and stuff on certain areas of it, but I've never gotten a degree.
It's incredible.
It is. You can really learn.
It is unbelievable.
Yeah.
What Google and YouTube and the internet.
Right. I think the biggest challenge for me is trying to capture. It's trying to capture an artist's best take, because sometimes I've been doing it so long.
This is good stuff.
This
is good stuff. I've got like another couple of questions. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, so it's like trying to capture the best the best of that artist, and sometimes that artist doesn't know that that's not their best one, but I know it's not. So it's almost like, okay, well, I've heard you sound better than this. And it's trying to be honest and respectful to someone and telling them that they need to redo something. Like, because then I'll get done the track, and I have a tendency to, sometimes I'll get real meticulous, and I'm like, oh, that drum part's too loud in comparison to this. And I'm just mixing for days and days. And I'm like, look, man, as close as you're going to get it, put it out.
Yeah.
Go on to the next one. I do have a...
When do you know when it's time? Because you and I are the same way on
Right.
some of this. And it's amazing because some projects, and even when you record yourself and you're producing yourself, some...
It's
they take forever, and some of them are done in
100%.
In a weekend.
Yep.
And it's like, what the hell?
And I'll tell you something crazier. Well, not crazier, but goes along with what we're saying. That's crazy as well. My biggest songs I've written in like 15 minutes. The ones that I spend years on, nobody cares.
Literally the same thing.
Yeah.
I say the same thing to everybody who asks me that question. What's your writing process? And I go, honestly, my best stuff, it writes itself in 15 minutes.
Right.
I don't know how to explain it.
Right.
It usually takes no more than an hour, but anywhere it's between 15 to 30 minutes. The vibe is there. The mood is there. You pick up the instrument and you go.
Yep.
And there's a window to that.
There is.
There is a freaking
You gotta
window.
capture that
And it
right
took
then.
me years to realize that where, let me ask you this.
Sure.
People say all the time, oh, you got to write every day. You got to write every day. All right, fine, cool.
Maybe.
I don't agree with it personally because you can't just make this stuff happen.
The song writes itself.
The song writes itself. I come from the same school of thought.
Right.
And
a lot
experience.
Of, a lot of people will talk to me about stuff too, and they're like, man, I got writer's block. You don't ever have writer's block. I'm like, you don't have writer's block. And I definitely have had it over the years.
Yeah.
You do anything 20 years, you're gonna get blocked sometimes. So it was like I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
So but I feel like it's crazy because that song, Sparing Some Change, I wrote like that. The Little Bitches song, like that. My Way's the Right Way. Let's Stay Together.
Little Bitches is funny. I love that.
That was a diss track.
Of course.
I'll tell you. I don't even think I've never even talked about who it was towards, but I'll totally tell you, man. It's funny. So
don't get me and my account in trouble.
It wasn't. That's it. It wasn't towards that whole band, but it was for that Curtis guy from I Was Totally Destroying It.
Okay.
Like he was just mouthy. He was just mouthing. And I mean, it wasn't nothing. And it was also the Grayson Curran, the guy that used to work.
I can already sense I'm probably gonna have to delete the disable comments for this video now because there's gonna be some troll out there that.
Yeah, but it was they can totally troll it, man. It's funny. But yeah, but it was written to them because there was just some stuff that was said between them, but it was never any like ill intent on my end or anything. It was just more of a. It was like a little jab. It wasn't a full on punch.
Gotcha.
If it was a full on punch,
do they know
oh
this?
yeah, 100%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they know about it.
All right. While we're on the topic of this, collaborations. We'll get back into recording with the shootout and all that. Chris Austin situations. Recent collaboration.
Yeah.
Hilarious music video as
Thanks,
always.
man.
Anything that you put out. I mean, leave it up to you. Garage, camera on a tripod, work gloves, and a tractor in the background, and a fake pregnancy.
Right.
And in a grocery store.
Right.
I mean, we have everything there. We'll put it in the description box below.
That's awesome.
Let's talk about collaborations for a second. Your take on them, why you like doing them so much.
Sure.
Or perhaps not. I don't know. And how you got involved with Chris, because Chris is a cool talent. I don't know him, but I really that song has a very interesting 3.5 minute ride to it. Emotionally, the hook is great. It's relatable to real life.
Right. Me and Chris have known each other since high school.
Okay.
He's got a twin brother. They're in a rap group called Twins, and they have they got a pretty cool sound. I started working with them recording them when I lived at the lakes in Raleigh. Like, this is years and years and years back. They would come to my house, and I developed, I think, their record, Double Vision. I think I did that record for them. And me and him just always had a pretty good friendship. But yeah, me and him have been working together on some stuff. We got a couple songs. I'll tell you something funny, man. This is a trip. This is off to the topic, but well, this kind of makes sense. But Chris was me and him wrote this song for the Carolina Mudcats to play at their games, right?
Wow.
And it was a kick-ass song, okay? So we send it to him, and literally the only place, this is hilarious to me, I was like 11 for 11 for like pitching songs and getting stuff placed and all that stuff at this point.
Wow.
And, you know, you're going to miss some.
Yeah.
The Mudcats turned it down. I don't know why I thought that was so funny, but it was a good track. It was about family, you know, fun, entertainment.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, it was a legit. It sounded great, and it was like country-ish. It was hip hop. You know, it was right on. It was right to that market.
The wheelhouse.
And they were like, oh, yeah, we're gonna pass.
Wow.
I just thought that was funny.
Well, it's funny because my dad and I did the same thing with the Durham Bulls years ago. And they wanted the theme song. We weren't going to them.
Right.
I believe they were looking for one.
Also, they were like talking to you guys.
They were talking to us. They were talking to a couple other people.
Right.
And I think it was a competition. So we submitted it, and then they like canceled the competition.
How you gonna do that, man?
What? Because it was really, it was cool. Like it was cool. You know, the engineering at the time was my 17-year-old self, and that wasn't cool.
Right.
But the framework was there, and it was really interesting. You know, but yeah, I don't know, man.
Ain't that weird? Like the only thing about it is like I thought it was crazy because, you know, I had all these like national things happen, and then the Mudcast was like 4 miles from my house. I was like, nah.
Well, maybe we just need to repitch.
That's it.
And just see what happens.
That's it. But me and him worked on that song together. It was pretty good. But yeah, with the Situations song, you know, we sat down. We wrote it. We wrote it at my house. It took us a couple sessions to record. I mixed it. Jamie King mastered it.
Sounds good.
And then, but I feel like it came out pretty good.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure. Real quick on the sports topic, Carolina Hurricanes. Let's talk about that real quick.
Sure.
And your relationship with them and the music.
Sure. The Hurricanes, they would play some of my music because Don Seal, if he's watching it, what's up, Don?
Shout out.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy. He worked with them at the time, and he was the music programmer, so he contacted me, and they were using some of the records that they would play at the Hurricanes games.
Right.
I think they were playing me, and they were playing I think Jason Damo. I think there was one more.
I ran into
Chris
Jason
Hendricks.
recently. Yeah.
Chris Hendricks, I think, was the other one. I ain't seen him in forever, man. But
yeah.
They would play us three up there, and Don's awesome. His son, years and years later, ended up playing bass with me.
Wow.
Yeah, Donnie Seal, that's my homeboy, man. He's like my current bass player, and Tom Miller, he's in a couple different bands.
Well, I think I met them at Niche.
You did.
Yep.
You did. Yeah, they're my homeboys, man. They're my band right now I'm working with. So. And
That's
they do
cool.
their own thing, too. Like, Donnie's a really great singer-songwriter in his own right, you know, and Tom, he's a killer dude.
So your music was placed for the Hurricanes at PNC then, or was it? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
And while we're on placements, because I know I put that off for like the last 20 minutes, let's just talk about that real quick. MTV, Oxygen, E, Real World.
Right.
Yeah, let's just get into that. As far as how did it happen? Was it cold pitches for the most part on your?
I got contacted by. I don't know if I should put his name out there because I don't.
You don't have to.
But he's he actually works with DreamWorks now.
Okay.
But at the time he was working with Viacom. He was working with the NTV, ATV, all these. He was like the music programmer for those guys.
Sure.
And I got
supervisor or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
I got contacted by them. Probably because of the SiriusXM stuff.
I got you.
You know, it was like, because that was a big deal. I didn't know how big of a deal it was at the
Now,
time.
XM, was that in relation to the Florida label that you were with at the time?
Well, what had happened was, you know, they ended up, they were like, and it's cool to talk about this stuff because I ain't never really talked about this stuff, you know. So that's cool. Good on your end, man. I'm gonna give you props, man.
I draw it out.
You do, man. You're good at it.
I
too.
draw it out, man.
You're good at it, yeah. I ended up working with them, and it was good in the beginning, and then I know by the end of it, it was just ridiculous. It was just a bad, like toxic relationship.
Was there a shelving involved?
It was money. It had a lot to do with money. They were using the money that I was generating, and I learned this through, you know, experience. You know, they had, when I got on the radio, and they weren't big enough. They weren't a big enough label to do the payola stuff. You know, like they weren't that big of a label to be able to generate that.
Right.
So anything we got, it was because I had to have a hot record. You know, I had to have a good, you know, and the record that they redid was a reissue of something I recorded before I was even with them. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So they end up pitching it to SiriusXM, and SiriusXM was like, "Yeah, we're playing this. This is good." Well, yeah, man, it was like I went up there. I met Ninth Wonder and David Banner. I met a whole bunch of people when I was up there, and it was nerve-wracking. It was nerve-wracking being on SiriusXM radio, like live. I had to play live on SiriusXM.
Oh, you played live?
Yeah,
okay.
I played live. It was in rotation. It like charted.
Right.
It was I got some of the charts at home. I always thought was cool because it's like, you know, John Mayer, you know, blah 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 blah, and then it was like Nick Driver.
Wow.
Yeah, like everybody up there. Yeah, it was
That's
cool. It
man.
was cool, man. It was a good moment in time. I didn't know how important it was until, you know, after it was getting pretty close for having its life kind of ran.
Sure.
But I would be sitting in places and I would hear it. Like me and my mom were eating one time. They call it a greasy spoon, but it's over my eye. That wasn't the name of it. It's called something like Village Deli or something. And, you know, my dad calls it that because all their food's all greasy. But
right.
We're sitting in there, and it came on the radio. And my mom like runs up to the lady. She's like, "That's my son. He's right there." But yeah, but that label, man, was kind of. They were using money I was pulling in, and they were signing other artists, and they ended up being defunct. And they were signing people that, I don't want to be disrespectful to any artists, but they were signing people that didn't have any kind of track record. You know what I'm saying? Like when you listen to you have you got songs upon songs. You can kind of figure out what that artist is doing. They were signing people that had there was no track record there. And, you know, and then they were bombing on records. So they were using this money I was pulling in. And then I got.
There's bad business decisions, it sounds like. Just really bad.
It was bad.
Decisions being made. And you were unfortunately a victim, so to speak, of some of that, even though it's not. You and I both don't really come from that.
Right.
Ideology.
Yeah, I mean, I always wish everybody best, but yeah, that was stupid, man.
No, that's You
know, like, and I had long conversations with him. I ended up trying to get out of it. I ended up having to buy my way out of the contract. So,
opening acts real quick because that was something that I wanted to bring up earlier. Creed.
Yeah, man, I played with him at it ain't Walnut Creek now, is it? Is it Coastal Carolina?
Yeah.
We played with Creed, and I was joking around. This is just a funny little story, but we were. I think this is when like Scott Stapp was wilding out.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but I mean, I always thought he was pretty funny. Like you know what I'm saying? Like this dude's hilarious.
I saw him on an interview kind of lose it a little bit because he had definitely been drinking, and I love Scott. You know, a lot of people give him total garbage, but I really have a lot of respect for him as an artist.
Dude, they were the shit in like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Dude, those songs were killer.
And they're good.
And if you're going to sit there and talk junk about Creed.
Right.
The songs were killer.
100%.
Okay, yeah, maybe the band is better with Alter Bridge and they, like, I get it.
Are they?
but I don't listen to I listen to Creed.
I liked what was it, Human Clay? That record Human Clay was good.
Yeah.
And then My Own Prison. Was that
yeah.
Dude.
Dude.
That's great records, man.
One
you know, people
Last
get
Breath.
amazing song.
On.
The guitar riff in that's kick ass.
Well, I mean, the whole vocal delivery,
good.
the whole thing is just, the songs, man, those songs.
100%. I agree with you.
Yeah.
And it puts you in a place. It puts you, your mental.
Oh, it does something to you.
And I got something cool to tell you. I actually saw him. I was living in Durham for like a year and a half, a couple years back. I actually saw him play at Cat's Cradle.
Oh, cool. Like on the Scott Stapp tour.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And but he was good, man. He was good. He sobered up, so that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's taking that kind of route,
he's got a beautiful family,
exactly.
and
that's a good
faith-based, and really just I have a lot of respect for him, despite a lot of things that happen.
Right. I mean, everybody goes through something.
Yeah.
And the public can sometimes be unforgiving, especially they don't want to see people that's doing good in life just wild out and not give a shit. And he didn't care. But I mean, I don't know. I ain't got nothing. I think I was appreciative to have that gig, and I got nothing but good things to say about them. So,
Huey Lewis. I'm just gonna read this list because this is intense.
Right.
Huey Lewis in the News, Citizen Cope, Hot Tuna. I've never heard of Hot Tuna, but I just had to say Hot Tuna.
Hot Tuna's cool, man.
Oh, you're Hot Tuna.
Thanks, man.
Blake Shelton.
Yep.
North Mississippi All Stars, the Lumineers, John Butler.
Yep, I have never really ran into a live guitar player that made me feel any more inadequate as a guitar player than John Butler.
He's 11 string, right?
He's
nutty. Incredible.
His singing's good, but his guitar playing is next level.
Yeah,
it's like if you got Earth.
One of my friends,
his shit's cosmic.
One of my friends got me turned on to him in high school because that was like during the whole John Mayer Continuum era, like right after that came out. And he was like, he was all hippie dude and was into that kind of like acoustic, hip vibe, and was like, you got to check out John Butler.
John Butler's nasty.
And I was like, dude, this guy's nasty, man. This guy's nasty.
I played with him at Floyd Fest.
That's awesome.
Lumineers, John Butler, me. There was a.
I'm laughing because I see the next name here, and I'll ask you to say.
There was I can't remember the name of the group, but it was like a pirate type rock group. They were big. They were on like Conan.
Wow.
And I can't remember the name of the.
You got to tell me about Jonas Brothers.
Oh man. I actually have been on 2 bills with them.
2?
Yeah, one of them came when I was playing in Florida at Daytona Beach.
Okay.
They were on more of the bigger stage.
Right.
And we were kind of adjacent to them.
Yeah.
The second one was years and years and years later. And I played with them, I think it was in, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Atlanta.
Okay.
So, dude, these guys, man. These guys are hilarious. Like, first off, I don't know what it is. Like, I've met a lot of like rock stars and like actors and just people in general. But they had such a, I don't know. They were just. I don't know how to explain it other than, like, I'm rough around the edges. You know what I'm saying? These dudes were very. It was just precise. Everything was precise.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
Like, it was cool though. I mean, they were nice. I mean,
Nice.
I didn't have. I mean, we ain't like best friends or anything, but I got to talk to them for a little bit.
That's cool.
And be like, slap hands with them, and everything was cool. But they were nice. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Demi Lovato, real quick.
Yeah, she's
Wow.
This is gosh knows. I think she had came out of like rehab or something like that. There was something going on, and so she was kind of like to herself. I didn't get to talk to her a whole lot.
Okay,
but I opened up one of her shows, and the staff was really nice. So
yeah,
but she was kind of to herself. It was probably good.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So 2 more names here that I wanted to bring up.
Sure.
As we have kind of interesting camera battery issues. Skillet.
Sure. It was the same night I played with Creed.
Okay.
Skillet
that makes
was
sense.
right before Creed. And I see what's up to him. Got a good little I think I got a couple pictures with him. They're really nice. I thought their stage show was, out of all of us that night, I thought Skillet had the best stage show.
Yeah.
They had the up and down kind of. They had these things going up and down on stage where they were rocking on and stuff. I was like, wow, that's
I'm
kick
like
ass.
Rammstein.
Yeah, exactly. Very Rammsteinish.
Rammstein.
Did you see that music video they put out where it was like porno?
Yes.
I was like, what am I watching, man? I was
like,
they're just like banging chicks. I'm like, dude, these guys are wilding out, man.
Dude, they are.
That's Germany, right?
Oh, that is they are interesting cats, man.
I was like, wow.
They are interesting cats. But I got to tell you, they never fail when you are in the gym and you just
100%.
need to get something.
100%.
You need to just throw something around. They get the job. I mean, they literally they'll get 3 or 4 more reps out of you.
Yep.
On heavy weight just because it's there, and that there's
they
some
got that
special,
energy to them, man.
special mojo there, yeah. But they are
awesome.
They are wild.
They are.
They are wild. What was the other name that I was going to bring up real quick? Bo Bice.
Played with him in Nashville.
Bo's cool, right? Bo is American Idol.
Yep. This is a couple years after his big run. We're playing at a place. It was in Nashville. Can't remember the name of the venue, but it was in Nashville, and the show was packed out. And I think he had his haircut at this point. Or he didn't look like he did on the show, and he was kind of going into this more contemporary sound kind of thing.
I got you.
And but yeah, he was nice, and the guy's got pipes. I mean,
did Bo win or was he like second play? I can't remember. He's like,
I've only seen that show like once or twice.
He had to been top
but I feel like he was in the top. I feel like he was in the top couple. I don't know who. I wonder who won that year.
I'll have to Google that.
It might have been him, because I remember people were like, "Oh, we got a rocker that finally,"
Let me Google that real quick.
But I don't know who. I remember. All I remember is that first year, that Ruben Stutter guy and Clay Aiken. Weren't they the first ones? Or was that second year? Kelly Clarkson.
Kelly Clarkson was first.
She was the first one, wasn't she? Okay.
Did Bo Bice win? Wait, American Idol. Hold on.
Yeah, Bo Bice was American Idol, wasn't
he? He did win. Did he win? Runner up against Carrie Underwood.
Oh, wow. Well, hey, if you're going to lose, what a person to lose to.
Wow. 2005, Nick.
Wow, bro.
Yo, that dates us,
That's
man.
That's insane.
I was like
insane.
11.
That's insane. I probably played with him around 2000, somewhere between 10 and 12.
Wow.
Something like that. He was cool, man. He was a nice guy. His fan base, it was a little bit different when I'm used to playing in front of. His fan base was a lot of like 55 to 65-year-old white women.
Sounds like mine.
The greatest kind, man.
Rich TV.
Rich TV. Hey, we got our topic, man, for Rich TV, man.
You got. I think I might have to send. I think you might have to send me the.
That's it. Got to.
That little.
Got to the music.
Is that your
intro
track?
Music.
You
Yeah,
had to come up with that. Yeah. Who is that? Just like a sample
It's
voice?
a sample.
I knew it was
It's a sample. It's a sample.
But it's great.
Well, I made the music, but the voice is a sample, and I had to look. I was like looking at a bunch of stuff, and I was like, man, this is perfect. It sounds so crazy.
If you remember to send it to me, I'll insert that like right here just so they can hear it, because it's just, I love it, and it's just perfect. It sets the vibe, and I'll make sure that our episode that we did, which was. We're not even gonna get into that, but that was hilarious. That was just a great time, totally
It's
off
awesome.
the cuff, random. But Wrench TV, talk about it.
Sure.
Your podcast, which is really the same thing, right? It's under the same vein.
Wrench TV is more like it's kind of like, I use it as like a satire type.
I was gonna say it's a comedy outlet.
It is. And it's usually those videos are anywhere from like a couple minutes to 5-6 minutes. Podcast is more in length. Like it's long form.
I think I saw Gina's and a few others you had on. I mean, you've had quite a few people on.
Yeah. The Wrench TV stuff is used more for, it's just not long form. Like we're doing like
Wrench is, it's almost like it's almost sketch.
It is
in a
very
way.
sketches. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
100%.
Well, we'll put those links down there. We'll put the link to the Situations music video, which is really that's the new release as of now.
It is.
And my next bullet point here, which is really kind of the last, and then I have one bullet point where I do remember a venue story that if you want to hear, I'll bring it up
I'd love to, man.
Future plans for you next decade out, as far as what are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah, I like where I'm at right now, like in life and in music.
That seems to be the case. I got to say, like, you're content.
Right.
And it's a rare thing, especially in our world.
It is. And I mean, there's things I want to do, but I mean, I'm always like you as well. We're like always grinding. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm never like complacent about anything, but I'm also very appreciative. And I have a lot of gratitude for the things.
Can't sit still for an hour.
Right.
Just can't.
Right. It's hard for me to watch a movie.
Yeah. The only way I can, and this has been me for the last.
You might be playing guitar or something like that.
That's it. I have to go through scales. I can't do it.
And I'm like the worst person to watch a movie with. if you'll be like, I'll be like, yeah, man. I'll go over to the table, start beating on something, or I'll like get my guitar. I know it drives girls I've dated mad. So they're like, can we not go out?
Well, it drives them closer because you're playing the mind games. Now, I got to say, actually, all right. I wasn't going to bring this up, but I'm going to bring it up.
Okay.
You have some serious game.
Oh, I appreciate that, man.
Now, I'm just saying this because I've seen it, and it's not like you're trying to be a playboy or anything.
No.
I mean, you just seriously have game now, and I'm trying to figure out why it is. Is it because of is it because of the caffeine? Is it because of the energy? Is it because of the? And I think it is a combination of both. Where
it could be.
You're putting effort into it, but also you have a personality where it just works, and your mind is very quick, very sharp in that wit.
I appreciate that, man.
And
I appreciate
it just
that.
works because I've seen it. I'm like, God, this guy's good.
I think it just comes down to I have developed this thing where I just don't care if someone likes me or not.
That's it.
So it's, and I know a lot of people say, like, you'll see people online like, I don't give a shit about nothing. You're like, yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do.
You're like, yeah, you really do. So, but I did, and I do care about certain things,
Sure.
But when it comes to people, I think people, I don't purposely try to run game or anything. I think it's just, I try to show interest in people and make them laugh.
Yeah.
I feel like it's that simple.
Well, one of the things you said that stuck with me, like the last time we hung out was, and I think it was when we shot that Wrench TV episode, regarding your outlook on comedy. Like, you just don't take things too seriously.
Right.
Right. Like, people are too serious. People can't take a joke. That's what you said.
They can't, man.
And
people can't take a joke right now. So for me, I feel like I'm kind of going against the establishment. I've always had a like punk rock spirit. So I feel like I'm going against the establishment of what people should be doing. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does make sense. I mean, Maverick Rose, I don't know if you've heard of Maverick.
Yeah, I know Maverick.
He was on the show a while. I was like one of the first people that came on.
That was a good show too.
Yeah, he's hilarious, man. Hilarious.
I like his just his outfit on that show.
Oh yeah.
Did he have what was on his eyes?
The guy glam.
That was cool, man.
Yeah. But you guys are similar in the respect of pioneers.
Right.
You want to break the mold. You want to stand out, and you do so through that vein of entertainment and the comedy and just high energy, like high energy.
Appreciate that, man.
For me, I get off more on You know, it's for me, it's like the music. It's
Right.
that's how I channel more so.
Right.
I mean, of course I want to connect with my audience. That's the end goal, is to do that. But it's, you guys just do it in a way that's, it's cool. It's just a different way of doing it, and
Right.
I'm inspired by it. You know, I'm taking notes.
Hey man,
I'm taking notes.
That means a lot, man. hey, I do the same with you too.
Well,
so
I
I do
appreciate
the
it, man.
same because I look at it like, you know, there's some people around here that's I think are super talented, and I don't want to leave nobody out.
That's why we started this show.
Exactly.
And I say that it comes up on every episode thus far. That's why we started the show, because nobody's covering it.
That's true. Hey, yeah, they are.
Somebody's got to do it.
Mr. Jason, man.
Somebody's got to do it.
So I saw the I thought the Misty one was really good. I've seen that one. I saw some of the Maverick Rose one, and some of Adams.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Adam's my homie, man. He's a good guy, man.
Oh yeah. So future plans.
Future plans.
You're gonna keep moving. Keep moving.
I mean,
Obviously. Keep doing it.
I feel like my future plans is like, I was joking around with my mom the other day, and I said, yeah, I'm just about to be like rock and roll never had a Ric Flair. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like rock and roll, like if you think about it though, and the idea of, okay, you know, rock and roll has always had this thing where it's like, you know, oh, I ain't got much money, or I can't do this. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like when you're playing, and I found myself like saying stuff in songs when I was like, am I falling into a cliche rock and roll thing? So I'm like, what happened to like I've never seen a rock star. Like you might know that these guys are doing pretty good, but like Ric Flair was like, woo, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm a little horse. And he's like, I got the girls, I got the money, and I got the Ric Flair hair. Woo! Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, that's rock and roll. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm kind of like gonna just start adopting that.
That's great. It's like a combination
just accept it.
Ric Flair, hip hop, cockiness, and
why not, man?
You know,
that's what my goal is.
Three power chords.
That's it. That's all you need.
That's hilarious. Let's get. Oh, I'll tell you. So I'll tell you the story real quick. Then we'll get to the shootout. So,
sure.
Without naming any names, this was at least 7 years ago.
Okay.
Because I didn't start my undergraduate at that point. We were playing at a venue in Chapel Hill, and we played at it often, very often. And we played at it after this, and there weren't any problems. So we played there before, there weren't issues. We played there this one night, and there was an issue, which I'm about to discuss. And then we played there again many times afterwards, and there wasn't an issue. It was just one of those weird nights.
Right.
So we show up, we set up, and we play, do the whole thing. And it was great night, 3-hour set, whatever, or, you know, whatever, 3-hour time frame. And a lot of people there.
Right.
As always.
Right.
Because it's Chapel Hill and freaking school's in.
And
you know,
Jason's
school's
on
in
the mic.
session.
And Jason's on the mic, man.
And we're blowing people out with, you know, amps cranked and everything.
Right,
and
man. No other way to do it, man.
Drunk college kids.
Perfect night.
Dancing to, you know, Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan and David Bowie and blues.
Exactly. That's
so cool, as my display turns off on my laptop, and I want to make sure that we're still rolling. Yeah, we're good. So it's time to get the check. And for whatever reason, I mean, it depends on who. It's like whatever's going on. Whoever's going to get the truck or the trailer is doing that. Somebody's packing up. Somebody goes to get the check. It just so happened that night I was going to go get the check. And go up, and the arrangement was whatever. I don't even remember what the arrangement was exactly.
Right.
But we go up. I go up to the bar and say, "Hey, like I'm here to get the check." And okay, cool. Gives me the check, and it's half the amount.
That's shitty, man.
Of what the agreement was from email and the usual.
Did you have your email saved?
Well, here's the thing: we've played there many times, so the record speaks for itself.
Gotcha.
This is the agreement. This is what we do here.
Gotcha.
And this was just it was just a different manager.
Gotcha.
Different night, And he said, well, that's all we can do for you. And I said, well, this is unacceptable. This is not, we've played here many times before. Help me understand what's going on here. He said, well, we just didn't do that well tonight. And I was like, this is a normal night for you guys.
Right.
You have hundreds of people here.
Right.
This is ridiculous.
Right.
Please give me the rest of what this agreement is. And he just wouldn't do it.
Wow.
He would not do it.
Wow.
And at that point, I had a couple of choices to make in the sense of,
you gonna get your GAD or not?
well, I could tell he was getting flustered. I knew I could pay my guys, and I knew that we weren't going to lose any money.
Okay.
And I also knew that this wasn't the usual owner. Maybe there's or manager of at that night at the venue. So I took the hit. I took the hit and I left, and we didn't lose any money. I didn't make any money off of it. But at the end of the day, it was, again, we played there again, and the amount was the fine amount. That's what it was,
Right.
and it continued to be that the rest of the times that we played there for that period. It was just odd.
That is
Odd. And he was just giving me a hard time, and it had nothing to do with the draw, because there is, you don't need a draw at this venue, this specific,
Right.
they're there. They hire a band, you're there. So it wasn't, there's no pre-sale, there's
Right.
there's no cover charge for the band. This is the agreed amount, and you're going to sit there and do that? Okay.
Yeah, that's shitty, man.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And I'm sure there's like countless other instances.
One thing that makes me mad is when venues cancel like a couple days before, or they're like, oh, we double booked it, which just happens periodically.
Yeah.
And I'm like, come on, man, this is how I make income, But I tell you, man, one thing I started doing, new venues, I'm like, yeah, you want me for this date? They're like, yeah. I'm like, cool. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm going to need a 50% non-refundable deposit.
Right.
And then that way, if they cancel,
That's it. At least
got
you have something. Something. Yep.
yeah. So, but I started doing that
I do 50% with
to new venues.
I do 50% with production work. And it depends on the booking agent and what's
Right.
going on with live shows, but definitely production work,
Right.
engineering, photography. You have to. Because
Exactly.
even with that, it's like if you engineer something or you go on site for cinematography or photography,
Right.
the clock is running.
Yeah.
So whether it's a finished component and you edit or not, or they get cold feet and they don't want it edited, or they don't have the rest of the money, you get covered. And it's
Exactly.
again, it's just business.
It's business. And you know what? Them doing that with you guys, that's bad business on their end. Especially, I mean, I know it was one night, but you were a great dude, man. But I mean,
It was just bizarre.
I had stuff happen like that. I've had people like, and I'll go up to the venue before I start playing now. Like there's some people like Deep River I've had a long relationship with. Wine on Main I've had a long relationship with. There's some venues I've been playing for forever. So I'm like, I'll definitely, new ones though, I definitely do a deposit. Because I mean that's fair.
Yeah. And you have the resume to back it up.
Mm-hmm.
So Shootout, which we talked about.
All right, let's do it. So I'm supposed to say first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah, and brief answers. I mean, we don't need to keep it totally a sentence or one word or whatever. It can go on a little bit, but just
Rapid
popcorn.
fire. Rapid fire with
Pop,
Jason.
pop, pop.
That's it, man.
Vocal mic.
Sennheiser 835 or 935. I like these Sures too.
I love Shure.
I feel like bang for your buck. This mic right here is probably the best one you can get. Bang for buck, 100%. I use Sennheisers because Jack Kane used to, when I was a kid, he used to talk to me about my voice range and what can be captured through the Sennheiser. So but till this day, I still use it because of Jack.
What's that Neumann that I talked through on your Wrench TV? I like that mic a lot.
That's a TLM 102.
On my voice, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I thought it sounded really good.
I may get one of those. I mean, just to play with.
Yeah, they
some point.
yeah, I think that would.
That's
be
not like crazy high end Neumann pricing either.
Right.
From what
No.
This
It's under $1,000.
yeah.
I think it's more in the $600-700 range.
It's just a standard phantom powered condenser. It's no tube, no, you know.
Right. And I do. I didn't use it that day we did that, but I do have an ISA 220 Focusrite compressor.
Yeah.
That when you run those two together, it sounds.
I had an ISA 828, so the 8-channel rack.
Yep.
I ended up selling it.
That's a nice unit.
I've got a PreSonus now with Jensen pots, so it actually has like that coveted mod.
Got you.
Pretty cool, man.
It sounds good.
Very, very analog. But anyway, yeah, Focusrite puts out great stuff too. Compressor. Compression in general, limiting. I mean,
I like recordings. I really don't use a whole lot of compression live shows, but
of course.
But studio wise, yeah. Logic has a pretty cool one. If you're gonna use Logic or Pro Tools, there's different things you could use. Logic's got a really cool like studios. I think it's like Studio Theta, FATA,
like the cheese.
Yeah, and it's just it captures the warmth of the vocal. It makes the vocal sound like thicker.
Yeah,
you know.
So do you do multiple stages?
I do.
Okay,
I do.
So like myself, yeah.
Yep.
You know. Well, it's based on what the song requires in the ear and everything. I just tracked something. When we're done, I'll show you. I've got I've got some new toys that I got to show you. I didn't have to do really much more limiting in the box. I got it all analog before print, which is like.
Yeah, that's boss right there. That's awesome. Yeah, that's cool, man.
I'm slamming the hell out of it, but there's a sound.
Yeah.
And it works.
That's very cool.
So, yeah, let's talk about it real quick. Like inline, if you're doing a vocal, what's your go-to inline compressor? I'm going like off tangent, but go-to inline compressor, and then maybe your vocal bus later. Maybe you're throwing something else on there.
Right.
What do you usually go for your voice?
For my voice, if I'm recording one of my tracks, I try to first I'll try to pull I'll get it recorded in, and if I'm going for like a studio sound, I'll make sure that there's not like extra noise within like the compressor. So I'll kind of bend down some of the lines on it so that the vocal sound.
Are you talking like
captured.
Automation?
Yeah.
Like volume automation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I'll use an adaptive limiter sometimes, and I'll use like a limiter, and I'll use that Theta 2 sometimes. I'll use that. Well, I compress everything in the studio.
Yeah.
So,
same.
but I feel like it's a good universal sound. Like, you know, obviously everybody's got different things.
Taste or whatever.
Yeah, but I feel like it sounds good. I use mostly. I figured something that sounds real good on my vocal. And it seems like most of the people that have recorded at my house, that I use the same kind of.
Well, it's sound. I mean, you have a sound, and I've said this before. Like, you know, it's you,
right,
when you hear it, and that vocal is just you. So whatever it is, I love it. You know, that vocal chain. Drums.
I love live drums.
Same.
I do a lot of
especially after you record with samples.
Exactly.
And you go down that road, and then it's like, oh, well, right. I really miss the real thing.
I'm a live guy.
Same.
So me personally, I love drums. I love the live bass. I love the guitars. I got a guy playing lead. I feel like that's the best sound in the world.
It is.
You know, but when it comes to what I'm doing with hip hop, you know, a lot of these guys and girls that I record, they want the product like that.
Yeah.
You know, so I can't get in there with,
and it's genre specific. It's the sound,
and you can get some pretty good sounds with those samples. But sometimes me and my old drummer Darren used to talk about this. Sometimes it feels like the life is taken out of certain tracks. You know what I'm saying? Like you can feel the humanism and like a little bit of you'll hear a little push and pull on live drums. You don't get that with the samples. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. You know, it's just constant.
It's there.
Yeah. So
yeah, bass.
I like the jazz basses, but I also kind of like the. Let me see. You ever play 5-string?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I like them. the thing for me though is that I like having more room on the fretboard, and psychologically it just doesn't. I like a lot of drop D stuff,
right?
So I love the sound of it, like that 311 bass sound, and kind of that type of.
311 was nasty on the drum bass combos there, just everything. In general.
Yeah. No, like
get your ass dancing, man.
And sometimes it really is required. I don't know. A lot of those frequencies, you're not hearing them anyway,
right?
Unless you're live or you're like in a really good.
That drives me crazy, by the way, because I did this crazy bass line on that Situation song.
Yeah.
But when people put it on their phones, you can't even hear it.
Like, people are
looking at it. Sound
the thing. I have to reference mix everything on the mono. It's funny you bring that up because I was talking with somebody about it and they said, "Oh wow, we never thought about this before." I said, "Well, yeah, you got to start thinking about it now because everybody's listening to stuff mono on the iPhone." And I would take out, like sometimes I would do MS manipulation with mid-range just to, if I wanted the vocal to be a little bit more up front, but not turn it up, then I would sit there and just do like maybe side chain compression with MS, and the guitars, any guitars in the middle would just kind of bounce around a little bit with a compressor.
Right.
Or I would just use like a Neve 1073 EQ.
Man. Nice.
And just MS it.
That's pretty cool.
Or the plug-in or whatever, and just, MS that and take out some of the frequencies in the mid. But the problem is when you listen to it on mono, that guitar is a ghost.
Right.
It does not exist.
Right.
So you got to be really careful with that.
Yeah, that is I agree with you on that, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's all good. Anybody watching that records, that's a great takeaway.
Hey, look, I'm always about trying new stuff out.
Yep.
And some stuff just really works, and it keeps showing up. Other things, they only work in certain situations.
Right.
But it's like, to me, it's kind of like the songwriting. You got to keep it fresh.
Right.
I don't want something getting stuck sounding a certain way, and I'll purposefully choose not to use a certain plugin or a certain piece of analog gear just to see what happens.
Gotcha.
Or I'll just print it later if I want it. And I'll make sure that there's routing later on, to do so. Backup vocals.
I love harmony stuff. Like a lot of my records, I always do I do a lot of harmony stuff. That was probably the hardest thing I had to learn. The two hardest things as a musician that I've had to do was singing and playing at the same time. That was something I had to.
Right.
I did have an issue with that. And then it's just like one day you wake up and
you just do it. It's strange.
Is that how yours was?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you push for like a year or two. I was in my teen years, 15, 16. By the time 17, 18 rolled around, I was like,
you forgot you had that problem.
I sing better when I play.
Right.
It's really weird.
It is weird. In
certain instances, But yeah, it just happens somehow.
It's just like you wake up one day and you do it.
Yeah.
Backup vocals, that was probably like the second toughest thing I had to learn because the harmonies. Mm-hmm. Like I had to literally sit down because I had been singing lead so much, and the kind of music I was doing was more attack. And I would just double up the vocals like, I cannot, or something like that. Mm-hmm. When I started singing, I was like, okay, I got my singing voice good. And then harmony's a different beast. And you got some people that they just, that was something I had to work on.
Yeah, that was one thing that I was, for me personally, I guess from like a musical theater background and having a lot of different vocal coaches over the years, because singing was not easy for me. It took me years to be comfortable.
And you're like one of my favorite singers too. So.
Coming from you, that means a lot, man. I appreciate it.
You're the man, man.
I appreciate it.
You're over there kicking ass, man.
It took a long time, and there's still a lot of things I want to expand on.
Hey, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Because I know we're gonna wrap up soon, but I think we should do an impression of each other.
We should. We did it last time, but it never got anywhere.
You wanna try it first? Right? You wanna do me first, or you want me to do yours first?
My name is Nick Driver. I show up to Jason D's house. Got my Diet Sunkist orange drink. and I'm jacked up on caffeine, bitch. All right.
That was good.
That's almost better than the last time we did this.
That was really good. I feel like mine gonna be as good.
You ready? It's so good. I'm gonna have to make this a separate clip.
You got
and
to.
this is gonna have to be the promo.
You got to. Okay, I can do that. Here's mine of you. You ready?
I can't drink this because it's gonna go.
Man, I just want to tell you, man. This is the Jason Damico podcast, man. I'm here with Nick. Nick's a great guy. He's my friend.
You've got to be kidding me. but you know what? Now that I hear it, it's probably true.
Oh, man. I always have a fun time with you, man. And you know what, man? I'm just letting you know, man.
It's like somebody said that I sound like the guy from Fast Times.
Oh, man, that was one of my favorite movies.
And
Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Everybody says I sound like I'm from California. I don't hear it. Now when you do it, it's like I kind of see where he's coming from.
I saw a video the other day. It's like an older country song, but I was like, yo, that kind of looks like Jason.
Oh, jeez.
His name's Joe Nichols. He sings a song called "Tequila Makes Her Clothes Fall Off." I had somebody tell me one time, they were like, "You like Johnny Knoxville." I was like, I can see it a little bit. I can see it a little bit. So,
Yeah.
At least they're both handsome guys, man.
All right, we'll take it. So real quick,
yes, sir.
Synth.
Oh man, I love synth. I don't use it hardly any at my live shows, like we were talking about, but in studio stuff, yeah, man, I love synth.
Situations has a little bit.
It does. I actually learned a lot more about that from Jonathan Sumner. He was in Skywire with me.
Okay.
So,
rap vocal.
I love doing it. I just do it periodically because that's kind of where I came from. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I'm kind of like I enjoy singing more.
Yeah.
So, but I used to battle people like in the 90s and early 2000s.
Did you do
I would battle
freestyle?
People. Yeah.
Okay. Is that still something that you kind of do?
I mean, I can a little bit. I'm not as good at freestyle as I used to be, but freestyle is different now. They write it down and then they go to these battles. So to me, that's not freestyling.
No, it's not freestyle.
No, I feel like that's like you might as well just make a song, put a beat on it. So
go make a single.
100%.
Electric drums.
I like them. I'm more favorable towards the traditional live drums.
Like we were talking about.
But I think it all serves its purpose. If you're playing a small club, like if I'm playing a small club, electric drums keeps the volume down on it, and it still gives people that bottom
human
end
element
to dance.
a certain Electric guitar.
I like the Gretches, hollow bodies, and the Paul Reed Smith. I like I had a solid body Paul Reed Smith. I think it was like a 200 series. It was good bang for your buck. A couple $100. It had a great sound. I know Hoobastank used them a lot, and I always thought they had good guitar tone. And I know they ain't a band a lot of people talk about, but Incubus and Hoobastank used it, and it was always just a thick like it's just a nasty cool sound.
Yeah,
and I like Telecasters too.
Amps.
Orange.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, man.
If I'm playing electric, orange. If I'm not, I like the Fishman acoustic amps.
Okay, yeah, I like orange. Never went that route for a purchase, but I always liked them when I was like testing guitars out.
What are you thinking of Mesa Boogie?
I use them as Kemper profiles on a lot of the cross material. So a lot of that, kind of Hetfield inspired.
Yeah.
And I can't do it the way that Hetfield does it by any means, but I just like the it's got everything you want.
It does.
If you're gonna sit there and palm mute, it's got everything you want.
100%.
That with a humbucker.
It sounds kick ass too. Palm muting on those. Woo. It's nasty.
Hate them on leads. Personally, right. I use I'll use like a plexi profile on a Marshall, something like that.
That's
or
pretty cool.
For live, it's Marshall JCM 800 for me personally.
Very cool. You got great sound, so it's working.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I use Fenders throughout. I've got a 68 Bassman, and I record with whatever, man. I mean, like the Kemper, there's so many different profiles on there, but nothing like having a real amp.
Yes, sir.
You know, piano.
I do a lot of stuff. I got like Sakai MIDI controller. I'll do some stuff on it. My mom played piano. I'm not like the best piano player. I'm okay.
You and I both.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
It's probably one of my weaker instruments. Like I can do the hip hop stuff. I can do the sample, like not sample stuff, but I can type something like
get a hook.
Yeah, get a hook. But I'm not like I'm very far from like a, like a classical player.
Yeah. Master bus. That's the last one.
That's a good question.
Little bomb in there.
Probably the Greyhound in Raleigh.
Ah!
So I got a question for you, man. I got a question for you.
Yeah, what's up?
Me and you have almost known each other for 10 years. Mm-hmm. I remember meeting you, man. We were at Loco Lou's Coffee House. That's good times, man. You were sponsored by Golden Corral.
For a little bit.
Yeah,
but
cool,
it wasn't. It was.
Did you ever
with,
get to eat it for free?
It was with an affiliate.
Oh.
With that TV show that was in the works at the time.
I think that's cool, man.
Yeah, man.
My homeboy, man.
What was your question?
I didn't know if you remember doing that show.
I do. Yeah.
It was cool, man. It was cool, man. You cool guy.
My name's Nick Driver.
Hey, man, thank you guys for tuning in. It's my man, Jason. It's your boy, Nick Driver, man. Check out that jawline. We had to throw that in there.
The only thing is you're a little premature because I still have one more major question for you, and then we're gonna hit your social. The Sunkist is
sounds good.
It's seeping in.
It is.
I got
seeping in. It's seeping in.
Your boy Nick Driver. Rich TV.
That is. That's it.
Artist Lounge.
That's awesome.
We're gonna this is gonna be a major monkey wrench here.
All right.
I ask everybody this question at the end.
Sure.
If you go back in time to your 15-year-old self, what would you tell him?
That is deep. I would. I'd probably. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot. I'll try to bullet point it.
Sure.
I'd probably tell him, "Hey, man, when you're early 30s and you have a blood clot, don't take any painkillers." So that would be one thing I would tell him. I'm past that now, but I mean, I would definitely tell him that. And yeah, man, I would probably say, eventually, you'll be more comfortable with yourself.
Yeah.
Because I was very uncomfortable with myself for a very long time. I always felt like I had a lot of friends growing up, but I felt like an outcast. I always felt like, just like I wasn't cool enough to hang out with everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just how I felt. But, I would say not worry too much about that stuff because I think people like genuine people.
Well, I feel the same way in a lot of ways with when I look back on my youth and whatnot. And it was more of like a loner thing, but also the only place that was truly home was music.
Right.
And people that played music, and whether it was, the arts, theater and whatnot. I had a lot of friends. I hung out with a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people knew me in high school that I didn't even know. And a lot of it was just because people jawing,
yep.
As
That's
you say.
Yeah,
I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that term.
They're
now.
jawing, man.
But it's good advice.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, and I'd probably.
Anything else?
I think I would probably, I'd probably say, because I do this now. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. These things are things that I do now, but I would say, I would try to tell myself to be a little bit more aware of how maybe I make people feel at times. Because I do have a tendency to, if I'm working on something, people be like, "Hey, Nick, have you got a minute?" And I'm like, "No." Yeah, I'm not doing it purposely.
Right.
But I could see how somebody could take that the wrong way. So I would tell myself to be a little bit more aware of how people are reacting to you. I get tunnel vision sometimes.
We've got a quote upstairs. It says it's a famous quote. You've probably heard it. Can't remember who coined it originally, but people will forget what you say. They will forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's for the last few years, I've really been trying to adopt that philosophy.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel that.
Yeah. I mean, you're a great dude, man. Like you're a kick-ass dude, man. I can't really like.
I appreciate it.
I mean, I'm like. I'm from the cut, man. Somebody ever says some shit about you, I'm gonna knock them out.
I appreciate it.
I got you, man.
Hey, man. Feelings mutual. I don't know how far it would go. I've tried to stay away from boxing and all that because I've just heard horror stories with wrists and I'm playing constantly, so it's
no use in it. It's like I was getting back into training. I'm not doing it now because if I break my hand, man, I'm gonna lose a lot of money from shows because I'm trying to be Ric Flair, Woo!
Social media, Nick Driver. I mean, look, we're gonna have it all in the description box for you. Any last words as far as linkage and
I just want to say thank you for having me on,
dude. Thank you for being here.
It's been a pleasure.
This has been a work.
So
for what, 2 months, just trying to get the schedules to work. We're here on Labor Day. I was gonna say that at the beginning, but we're here on Labor Day.
You're my man.
Doing the social media grind, and I mean, to me, but this, I love doing it. This is not work to me. This is just play. It's great fellowship with the community, and we want to thank you as viewers for contributing to this, because without you, we wouldn't be doing. This would not be a platform that's starting to grow a little bit, and we thank you for your support. Make sure to click that subscribe button, like, share. Go check out Nick's content. Social media platforms in the description box below. Subscribe, like, share, do whatever needs to be done there. And I think we're out.
Sounds good. And I just want to say one last thing.
Yeah.
I think what you're doing, you're getting a lot of quality people that I've learned more about Adam and Misty and Maverick because you were a podcaster. So, and your videos.
Well, I appreciate it, man.
And that's cool, man. That's cool. I think you're doing a great job, man.
Same thing with you on this one.
Cool, man.
We unraveled.
Yeah, we did, man.
The complex.
Unraveled. I'm Nick Driver. From Jason Damico, man. We're out.
We'll see you on the next one. Thanks.